Hey guys, what's going on? So this is kind of a puddle deep thought. The puddle could be an ocean depending on how deeply you want to look into things. I was gonna go live on this, but I don't really know what I'm gonna say. I have this. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I didn't plan it out, so it's pretty extemporaneous. So I'm just gonna kind of see what kind of shit I can throw out on the table here for you guys, and maybe talk some sense into this idea that I have for you guys, and hopefully you guys can connect to it and get some value from it. It's something that I've known for a while. I guess sometimes it just takes the gears clicking to kind of come to where the light bulb goes off. And I guess this is that moment for me right now. So I've been really interested more recently than ever, probably, in the psychological aspects of what makes people successful in business or successful in fitness or successful at anything really. And the baseline criteria are almost identical in nature for everything, though people want to like start pigeonholing and putting eggs in certain baskets when really universally speaking, success at anything, it all has sort of like the baseline foundation of being similar. So the model can be emulated across several different types of platforms and mediums. So that's cool, and I already knew that, and most of you probably do too. It's just one of those things that people don't maybe think about. So 90 Days to Alpha, I've been doing this program since like 2013, and it's evolved into something that I never really thought it was going to be back when I started it. It was merely just a body recomposition platform where I use it to completely and drastically change people's physiques. And, the mentorship has grown a lot since then. I've added a lot more things to it. And, the psychological end of it's one of the things too, where this program locally, when I'm able to, coach it with people local to me in person, which is the best option if you're thinking of doing this program. If you can get in there with me in the gym and train it, it's a great opportunity for you. It's really cool. It's amazing time for me. I have a great time. A great result is usually cultivated for the person coming through it. Anyway, so people who come through this program, we have like entrepreneurs, successful business people, and then we have just regular people looking, for more of the physique stuff, the bodybuilders and the athletes. And I do a lot of management stuff and a lot of different shit for off-season competitors and things like that, and a lot of remote stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts to this program. People can kind of use bits and pieces of it, or they can use the full entire package deal. Anyway, so one of the things that you come to learn and understand from doing what I do is I work with people so much in a sense where I develop psychological intuitions where I can read people, understand them, but I'm still slightly in confusion with some people in general, and these aren't people that I work with, but just trying to understand the mindsets and how the average person's mind works. We're all a little different, so our gears and our priorities are all turning a little differently, and learning to not only accept that that's okay, but try to learn how to actually help people maybe shift those gears so they can become better at the things that maybe they're needing to. And oftentimes this isn't a physical end of the deal. And psychologically, the connection between mind and body it can be spiritual in a sense. So if you don't go to church on Sunday, but you make it to the gym to train legs every Sunday, that's fucking spirituality in itself. So the Iron Temple is a place to go and worship. Now, when you develop that mind-body connection, there's nothing like it. And those of you who've been training for a long time, you can understand what I mean. If you haven't adopted exercise or just regular physical exertion, and obviously the nutrition and all the components that go with it, there's just a self-understanding and basically that you get from that you develop a deeper connection with yourself. So you're in better understanding of yourself when you do these things, even at a baseline level. You extrapolate it up into like the high-end stuff, and then it's like, for me, it's like it's almost like a religion for me. I've molded a lot of my life successfully using the principles when I didn't have any mentorship in life for business or anything like that. I used what I knew from the gym, and I honestly just copy and pasted that model of my success that I have had, and that I do have, and I use that for business and everything else. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you can basically emulate that business model into different aspects of your life. Now, the next thing I want to go on to here is people that are successful in business and whatever, or their career. There's people that are out there just kicking ass, and then you look at them and they're not healthy. So at the expense of the spirituality in their body, their connection to themselves, they're basically just running themselves into the ground doing this other stuff. But at the end of the day, when they don't take care of number one, all of that other stuff, they're going to feel like shit no matter how badass and cool they become. At the end of the day, they still don't feel worth a shit, and they're still lacking that connection, that enlightenment. And believe it or not, it is an enlightenment. So if you don't know, you need to learn. Now, the vices that we have are usually negative. So when people have a vice, for example, it's usually going to be a self-destructive thing. Not necessarily, but it could be even a good thing. Like you could have a vice with cardio where you're addicted to doing it, so you feel like you need to do 2 or 3 hours a day. If you eat one bad piece of food, that you feel like you got to go on the treadmill and put an extra 45 minutes, so you can get addicted to good things and take them to a bad place. But I'm talking more about the negative stuff. So how many people do you know, this could be yourself included, if you have a long stressful day, a tough week, whatever, you just had a go of it, it was a tough week, how many people do you know that want to go get happy hour drinks, or they want to use recreational drugs, or mostly they're going to do things that they feel are going to be stress relievers, and basically helping them chill or whatever, where drugs and shit like that, it can make you feel like that. The chemical shit that happens to you can make you feel like that, but at the end of the day, those deconstructive vices or means or measures are only going to they're digging a hole for you, because this is St. Patrick's Day weekend or whatever, I think, or it's the weekend where everybody's going to go party. You always have depression after you drink. Typically, if you're hungover, your weekend sucks. Monday sucks, so it usually drags on with you, and it's just like this residual shit that drags on into your next week slightly, to where you're basically slowly and steadily like, now how are you staying successful when you're feeling terrible, maybe a quarter of the time or even more than that. So you're mismanaging your vices. Now, trying to understand people who are very successful in business and why they can't get their physique or something else under control is interesting, because that model that they're using for them being successful over here, it's the same fucking thing as over here. The same amount of work, the same amount of discipline, dedication, consistency, and then obviously having, if you have a business, you want to have a good business model. So if with your body and your physique and your health, you want to have a good model for that as well. So why would you not want to have that? It makes perfect sense that you should. I think people place little value in the actual physical side of their lifestyle, to where honestly it's a big part of it. It's a big part of the equation, because if you're physically, especially in like the blue collar trades, if you're physically well and able, hey, it still pays to do the fucking work these days. So don't think that for 1 second that everybody's just going to be passively just kicking ass. Though they could be, but you still got to step into the fucking ring and throw some hands if you want to be a champion. So you've got to do the work. And that's the big thing is, just because you can be successful behind a desk doesn't mean that you can step into the gym and be successful in there, because you still have to have that work ethic that gets into the physical side of things. So I don't know where I'm trying to go here. I'm gonna have a seat, but I think the connection, for those of you who are struggling to find it, it's there. You just have to channel it in some way to where you can make yourself do this shit for a while, that you get addicted to it, because some people get addicted to their success to where nothing is ever good enough. And this is sort of how I feel. Like I have to start to learn to filter things to a point where I'm good with where it's at. Like I've worked really hard to get where things are. I'm okay with it, but still always at the end of the day wanting a little bit more, not being satisfied with where it's at. So you can get so hooked or addicted to certain things that are kind of positive in nature at the beginning, but they become deconstructive, like I mentioned, to the point where you're basically just devoting all of your time to one thing and you're letting a lot of other things slip by. So I guess that balance thing comes into play. And to be honest, there's periods of time where you're probably going to have to be out of balance to make things work for the long term. And you can find periods of balance here and there, but sitting in balance all the time is very hard to do. And the definition of balance is going to be different for everyone. So I think the main thing that I wanted to squeeze out of this was maybe that vices thing, where if you're doing like really, really well in a lot of aspects, but you can't channel your vices and basically get those addictions and things like that you have into a more positive arena to exhaust them, then you're always going to struggle with the physical side of what you're looking to accomplish or achieve, and that's not going to happen behind a desk or in the office or in business or at home necessarily. You're going to have to put yourself in a position or a place to where you're forced to have no other option but to dump the bad habits and adopt better ones, because at the end of the day, that's not necessarily a physical flaw that you have. Like maybe your ability level is there and you're a fucking athlete like in disguise and you don't even know it. It's more of a psychological issue that you have. And at the end of the day and at the start of the day or whatever part of the fucking day you want to say it, if you don't have the right mindset, then you really can't be successful at anything that you do. So whatever mindset that you have or you are using to be successful at anything, go and find what the fuck that is, and then you take that mindset and you apply it to the places where you're weak. And I'll be willing to bet that you're probably going to find success or more success in those other avenues than you have currently have or have ever had. So it sounds very simple. It's that whole psychological connection that you either are forming and basically replicating or you're not. So learn how to basically get that model, copy and paste, and just repeat that shit. Have a good day, guys.